recall a time when I have spent so much time with my own kids, especially now with seeing friends isn't really feasible. But with technology today, it's awesome. Kids are able to connect with each other online and develop those social connections. But is that enough? Today, my guests will talk about ways to encourage your child to maintain those social connections and why it's important for their development. Welcome to Beyond the Classroom. I'm your host, Kathy Thompson. My first guest today is Rosemarie Reed Julian. Rosemarie is a high school teacher and assistant curriculum leader with the Toronto District School Board, teaching English and social sciences. She's also the owner of Beyond the Classroom North Brampton and the proud mom of 3 kids. I wanted to speak with Rosie today to learn more about her perspective as a teacher and a mom. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kathy. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's so great to see you. I just wanted to look at, this show today is about social relationships and the importance of why kids should have those, adults should have them. But I'm wondering, just from your perspective as a mom and as a teacher, why do you feel connection is so important?
Well, I think connection is important because, for young people, for kids, they thrive off of relationships, whether those relationships be with their parents, with their teachers, or their peers, or any other caring adults. Um, Generally, it's known or studies show that students that are connected do well a lot more in terms of their schoolwork. They do well, educationally, and later on in their personal lives. And I think that during these formative years, it's so important to develop relationships because they're or maintaining connections because they're developing relationships that could possibly last a lifetime or last for many years to come. So maintaining that, I think, is so crucial that they're given the opportunity to do that. And then also, though the purpose of school is to acquire knowledge and develop skills, young people are developing interpersonal skills that can help them academically and later on professionally also.
Hmm. And so, yeah, absolutely great points in terms of, really how we are connected with each other. And I think that fuels our mental health too. I don't know about you, but we were talking earlier about connection and how not having those face to face, in person connections right now, it is creating such a big impact.
Yes, and I mean, it's challenging for adults. Adults have a hard time coping, and for young people, they don't have the coping mechanisms to manage during this time.
Mhm.
So that's why maintaining the connection is just so important.
And so, as a teacher, how do you stay connected with your students right now?
Well, through many ways, and I think that for young people, just maintaining social relationships, even if we aren't physically in the building, is so
Mhm.
much more important. So this is done through Google Meets. So I hold Google Meet several times a week. Sometimes I may post pre-recorded videos, but I'm online all day pretty much, and my
Mhm.
students are high school students, so they connect to me through email. And if there's a concept that I need to explain in greater detail, I give them a phone call. I call them and
Mm.
explain things over the phone. And it takes a lot of time, but it needs to be done. And through those phone calls, I'm not only just explaining schoolwork, but I'm also checking in and finding out how
Mm.
they're doing. I'm also connecting with their parents. And through those discussions, I realize that, they may need an extra layer of support. So that may
Mm.
require connecting them with any outside agencies that can meet their needs. So this form of connection, it doesn't stop, though I'm not with them physically. There are many ways that we support them.
Yeah, and it must be hard for you as a teacher. Part of the reason why people become teachers is to connect with students, to be a teacher in the classroom, have that connection. And so, is it helpful for you, working at home, doing those phone calls, doing the Google Meets? Like, how is that for you in terms of fulfilling your need to connect?
Well, it's great. I mean, connecting with the kids is always a positive thing, and just connecting with them in a more personal way, as opposed to standing in front of the classroom, right? So
Mm.
it's interesting that in some ways the connection has actually um, increased because I'm in contact with them or making more phone calls. I mean, I would
Mm.
obviously prefer to be in school. But there are some positives that have come out of it as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned, the phone calls home connecting not only with the students, but also with the parents. So you're probably learning a lot more and
Yeah,
making a lot more connections in the community than you typically would.
yes. And I find I'm learning more about their lives, more about them
Mm.
personally through those phone calls. I mean, as teachers, we phone home, but usually it's for a particular reason. And in this case, our phone calls serve many purposes.
Yeah, usually a phone call home is not good. from, from my experience, it's like, "Ugh, what's happening? You see the school light up on your phone." No, that's good, and that's goes above and beyond in terms of fostering that relationship and that connection. And we know through developmental assets, having that supportive, caring person in a student's life goes really a long way.
Right. Really.
And yeah. So for your three kids, how are they maintaining their relationships with their teachers, with other kids? What are they up to?
Okay, so I'll start with I have, well, my 3-year-old, he's not in school as yet, but I have an almost 6-year-old, and he is in kindergarten. So there are lessons posted on Google Classroom every day. Um, and interestingly, yesterday, his teacher held a Google Meet for the first time, and it was non academic at all. So
Mm,
just focused on how they're doing. Students can check in, speak to one another, tell the class how you're doing. How do you spend your day? What do you miss about school? And for kids that young, because it's really hard for them to maintain connections with friends
mm,
because they're young and parents need to know each other in order for that to happen. Uh,
mhm.
so it was a really good experience for him to connect and not have that non-academic focus. Uh,
Mhm.
in regards to my 11-year-old, she is a social butterfly, and we'll meet
Mm.
regularly. So she connects quite easily through many online platforms.
Oh, that's cool. And then in terms of the tutoring, so Beyond the Classroom provides one-on-one in-home tutoring typically, but right now, obviously your tutors can't go into the house. How are they maintaining those relationships and sessions with their students?
Okay, well, the great thing about in-home tutoring is that it can easily be delivered on an online platform as well. So we do that through our virtual space called the lesson space. And our tutors, one of our core values is just maintaining that connection. And our tutors are able to do that through the lesson space. Uh,
Mm.
I know we would all prefer to be in home and have, but they can continue the one-on-one tutoring and, remote learning. Sometimes there is a lack of one-on-one engagement. Or explicit teaching in some ways. So the online platform, the lesson space, allows teachers or our tutors to provide students and families with their needs and to fill the gaps that fill
Yeah.
of remote learning, even though it still is a form of remote learning, but it's more customized
Mm.
and geared to meet the students' needs.
Right. So the sessions are still customized. It's not just shooting information or, yeah. So it's that customized support to deal with the online learning that's happening in school.
Right, to really
Right.
explain concepts in greater detail or to work through problems or practice writing.
Mm.
So the learning does not stop, and we're quite grateful that we can continue.
Yeah. Yeah. Just in terms of that connection. So going back and thinking about the students in your classes that you work with, how are they connecting with their peers? Have they said that to you in some of these phone calls and connections? Have they said, we're hanging out here or we're connecting online? What are they saying?
Really connecting through. My understanding is they're connecting through text message.
Mm,
Right. Many of them are teenagers, so they're generally connecting that way or
mm.
FaceTime calls. I mean, online in class, they connect during our Google Meets as a group, but individually, it seems to be mainly through their phones.
Okay. And are they playing video games together? Do you know of or doing any?
They do
Yeah.
engage in that. There's a lot of video game playing, and through those games, they can actually communicate with one another as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it really is amazing. There's never been a better time for a pandemic, quite honestly, in terms of, online capacity to connect with each other and support each other. So,
Because
yeah,
if this happened
absolutely.
20 years ago, I'm not sure what we would do.
Yeah, I really. So I think that's really interesting, and I really value your points around connection because it is so much a part of us. Connecting face to face and supporting one another, and I think there's going to be a bit of an impact on our mental health as we're moving forward and not having those face to face connections. And I wonder, like, will it be awkward when we're all seeing each other again? Like, how will how will it be?
Right. It might be a little awkward, but I think for some students, unfortunately, school is the only safe
Yeah.
space that they have. So when that's taken away, it's much more challenging for them. And that's why, maintaining the connection, letting them know someone is there, someone cares, and they're making an effort to connect with them, can go a long way for students that are particularly vulnerable.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
great points. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show. We are going to meet your beautiful daughter next and ask her some questions and see how she's connecting with her friends. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you. Take care.
My next guest today is Jalea Julian. Jalea is 11 years old and currently in grade 5, and overall, she says she enjoys school. Her favorite subjects are math and phys ed, like, of course, phys ed's awesome, and extracurricular activities are drama class, skating, and basketball. And she wants to be an actress when she grows up. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's so nice to see you. And I just wanted to talk to you about your relationships with your friends and how things are going with school. So, my first question is, do you get to talk to or see your friends at all lately?
Yes, I do get to talk and communicate with my friends over FaceTime. I normally call my best friend Michaela like every single day. We talk on FaceTime and we play this game called Roblox. It's a really good game.
Ugh.
And I suggest that you guys should play it. It's really
I have heard of Roblox. Is it sort of one game and then there's lots of games within it?
yes, that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
Also get to see my classmates and my friends over class video calls such as Google Meet. And I do it every Wednesday. So this Wednesday, I had a Google Meet call and it was about like show and tell and people were showing their pets and I really enjoyed it because I got to see everybody's like dogs and cats and they were all just so cute.
Oh, that's so awesome. I know for my kids, they don't go on video for their Google Meets. So I think that's really cool that you're actually getting to see, a piece of their life that you wouldn't necessarily get to see.
Yes.
And what did you show? Do you have a pet or did you show one of your brothers?
No, I don't have a pet.
No. Well, that's really, really cool. And so, in terms of being at home with your family, you've been at home with a family for quite a while, not in school. So, what's that like for you?
I really enjoy being at home with my family, and I
Mm.
really like being at home because I get to wake up at my own time because my school starts at 8:15 and it's really early for me, so I get to sleep in. I also get to do my work like at my own pace because at school we're supposed to like start our work after all the announcements, but I get to work at like whenever I want. But I normally start my work as soon as I wake up because I really like to get it out of the way so then after I have free time and I could play games and I could play with my brothers. I also like being at home because I can eat a full breakfast. Because usually when I go to sleep,
Yeah.
I just eat like a piece of toast and like I'm off. But now I get to eat like pancakes and eggs and sausages, and I really enjoy that. I also like being at home with my family because I get to play with my brothers, and I feel like that I'm connecting with them a bit more.
Mm.
I play cards with them. I go in the basement with them. We go outside with each other. And sometimes we fight, but it's not like serious fights. And I also like being at home because I get to see my mom more often.
Aw.
'Cause she works late a bit. She works a bit late. So I get to see her more often. And my dad is usually at work, but sometimes he takes days off, which is really nice because I really enjoy seeing my family and being with them more often.
Aw, that's awesome. Those are such great points about why you love being at home, sleeping, eating, playing. I think a lot of kids that have been on the show have talked about different reasons that they love being at home. Well, I just want to thank you so much for being here, telling us how you're connecting with your friends and your family and all the great stuff that you're doing. So I just really appreciate you being here, Jalea. Thank you.
Thank you.
My final guest today is Delia Rusu. Delia is a life coach and she's been teaching, coaching, and mentoring kids and teens both in person and online for over 3 years. Her mission is to inspire, support, and empower children to reach their full potential by helping them build positive self-esteem and positive self-confidence. Delia offers coaching programs either in small groups or as private coaching for children ages 6 to 16 through online platforms. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Kathy. Hello, everybody who will be, I guess, watching this.
Yeah, great. You do such amazing work with building that self-confidence and self-esteem with kids. And this show is all about social connections and making kids feel great. So what does the research say about the importance of connection?
Right. So there's probably no surprise to anybody of how important connection is more than ever. Um, Face-to-face connection, especially, and I know it's really difficult in these times to ensure face-to-face connection with the physical distances. Also, social connection in general, even online. I know as parents, sometimes we are thinking that our kids, especially talking about kids and teens, they're spending just too much time online. But I would say that now is not the time for us to be worried that much about it, because it is one of the outlets in which kids these days can connect with each other and can spend more time talking and communicating. Basically, it's always been this way for them, and like the generations these days, very different than us when we were kids. But it is very, very important. And in terms of research, other than like what I see in my own coaching programs with the children that I work directly, I always follow a Psychology Today is a great website. I actually recommend it, and the way they provide information is really easy to understand. And obviously, Canadian Mental Health Association, absolutely. Articles that you see in there and studies just talk about how important it is to, have friends. It's just human. We're wired as humans to crave connection and to have connection with other people, and that's no different for our kids. And to feel, to have this feeling of belonging and being loved and being accepted. So it has so much great effect when we ensure that for ourselves and for our kids on our mental health, our self-esteem, our confidence, and after all, even our physical health and everything, because together with a friend, right, you feel better, and it's just so great for so many reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are terrific points. Just even being near somebody and just having that sense of belonging and that connection goes so far. And I'm just thinking in terms of your work with kids with self-esteem and self-confidence. And so once you feel connected to yourself and have that sense of belonging and that, positivity, I think that's a really big root for kids, isn't it, with
Yeah.
self-esteem?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way it works is being connected, and being connecting to yourself. And a lot of time, again, I'm going to go back to thinking about how we ensure that it is. I like to call it being okay with being alone with yourself. And I'll be honest, that's something that many adults haven't, made peace with, so to speak, or haven't learned this very important skill. It's just so great to actually be okay being alone with yourself. It doesn't have to be necessarily immediately people think about, oh, meditation, or immediately I have to do that. It's so hard. I'm not going to do it. But it can be even just doing like a mindful activity like coloring, or just talking to someone without an agenda, just simply talking. As parents, we can encourage our kids to do that. And it's going to help them learn more about themselves. Like I feel that, you know, even for ourselves, adults, and for kids, we don't spend enough time to understand what we like, how we are, what we want. And all this comes when we spend a bit more time alone and thinking about ourselves, and understanding what we want. And then we will, you know, ask for the same respect and self-respect for ourselves from others. And it all goes to self-esteem, confidence, just everything is, you know, the domino effect. Everything works together.
Yeah, those are a lot of really great points, right? Even as adults, it's hard for us to necessarily be alone. We're not accustomed to be, but now with this pandemic, I mean, a lot of people are on their own. They're alone. They're dealing with their thoughts and trying to sort things out. And so you're saying it's a positive thing to really dig in sometimes and reflect on our own wants and our own goals with this.
Yeah, we can definitely use this time for that. And again, making sure that we're probably going to be talking a little bit more about ways we can still feel socially connected, physical distancing or not, with other people. But again, just going within yourself and understanding how can you, what you like and what you want. I think a lot of people and a lot of kids that I work with have been able to use this time to figure this out, because before we were just all the time busy. I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to be there. Now there's you know, more quiet time, more reflection time, and as I said, it can be just different ways that we enjoy spending this time.
Yeah, the thinking about building that self confidence through being on our own, especially thinking about teens, preteens, kids, not necessarily knowing the things that they want and they value because they're so influenced by their peers. So it's interesting having this separation and that opportunity for them, even though they're little, to really have that confidence saying, no, this is what I like, this is what I enjoy, this is who I am. And I think that self confidence will actually, you know, be such a great gift for them moving through school, moving through high school, and knowing who they are. So I think that's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, what are some unique ways that kids can connect with each other right now to maintain those social connections?
Yeah, that's a very great question. I hear it all the time. And I've actually asked in my private group the same thing, because it's different for different people. Like I could have my own opinion. I could just, you know, say from my own observations with my own daughters. I have two teenagers at home, so I know very well how this works, and also with the children that I work with. But it's also very interesting to find out what other people do, and, you know, to get some ideas and how they see things. Obviously that's the online component, right? So no surprise, we can still connect online. We're very thankful that we can do so. You know, imagine that this wasn't possible. So I think a lot of time we're not grateful enough for the technology and for what we have, and for the possibility that we have to connect with, and our kids have to connect with their friends. Other things that I've seen from you know, people mentioning was social distancing, you know, keeping the distance, but having just a small group of friends together, maybe just one very good friend. So, you know, if your child is asking, when can I see my friends? When can I see my friends? And a lot of kids are, you know, very social and suffer very much because they can be with a big group of friends that they used to. We can just say, you know what, just, you know, maybe take your best friend, and maybe next week you see another person. So I've heard families that do this. And a very interesting thing that I've heard was the bubble family. So basically you choose a family, I mean, it's probably a friend family that you have, and your kids would be friends with the children in the other family, and they just socialize this way, which I found very, very interesting. And it keeps like the group smaller, but it enlarges a bit and make them feel better. So I thought those are like really good ideas that people, we are very creative, right? When we have to.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point. And I've heard of the bubbles and how that works. I like your point about, making sure it's mutual and,
Yeah.
it's a family that you get along with and all that. So before we go, can you share some resources that you use with kids and with families in your practice?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for asking that. So, really recently, actually, since we've talked about looking within yourself and spending some time with yourself, I've been starting to offer some a positive self-esteem combined with coloring courses.
Mm.
I have a workshop coloring mandalas, and I've actually have my own book that I've created. But kids spend
Oh.
time coloring one page in that book, and we discuss about it. Has also a positive affirmation on every page, and we discuss that and how can we say it differently. And I teach them to practice. A lot of this has to do with practice. So once they learn
Mhm.
to practice, it doesn't, a lot of people and kids at the beginning, they're reluctant because like, oh, that's weird, I'm not going to say I am the best, or I'm going to have an amazing day today. But when you practice and when you do it all the time, it's really great, and it works. And I have the system that I use as a wisdom coach, stories, activities. But even if you're not in my programs, like you can, any books that empower. I think the word is empower these days too many times. And if us, if parents are empowered and they really think that things are going to be okay, we're going to get through this, it's going to be fine. If we do this, if we tell our children over and over again that this is it's going to be fine, then they will feel empowered too. And of course we're going to have our ups and downs.
Mhm.
It's always like that, but it's always been like that before
Yeah.
as well. So just, I would say the word empower, just always think of it and encourage your child that things are going to be better. Yeah.
Aw, that's so awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the program and sharing that coloring book activity. I think would be great for kids and parents, by the way. We'll
Yeah.
have your information on our website. So I just want to thank you so much for being here on the program today.
Oh, and thank you.
Connection is so important, as you can see from today's show, for both adults and kids. It's part of our mental health and our human nature. During these times, we need to be creative in the ways that we connect with each other to stay safe and healthy. A big thank you to my guests today for all the great information and resources they've shared. For more information about today's show, visit beyondtheclassroom.ca. Thanks for watching.